Okay, welcome everyone. It's 3:10. We're still trying to take attendance real quick, so if you can just give us a minute, make sure we have a quorum, and then we'll get started. Okay, I can confirm we have a quorum, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Our first order of business is to approve minutes. I do apologize. We have 3 different meetings worth of minutes to approve. The first one is from April. The reason why these were delayed was because we looked at them in June, but a senator asked if we could list the participants because it simply said that there had been 65 participants on the call but did not name them. Virginia Carnes, who was the secretary at the time, has tried to recreate that list, but she's been unable. The participants list was deleted by Zoom. So we're presenting the minutes without a full list of the attendees, simply a number. If you guys have an issue with that, then we'll have to figure out an alternative, but at this time we don't have an alternative for that number. Then we have, because I just simply forgot to do the minutes in July, we also, to do the approval of the June minutes in July, we do have the June minutes, and then of course we have the July minutes. So I'll take any questions, issues, concerns related to any of the 3 minutes.
Hey, Charlene, I have a question about the July minutes. I'm not a senator anymore, so I didn't know if I was allowed to bring that up or do I have to send it to a senator?
You can just go ahead and ask the question.
Okay. In the July minutes at the end, Chris Stewart had mentioned the issue about voting rights for lectures, and the minutes state that he wants to empower lecturers on voting on departmental issues such as curriculum. And I'm not sure that that's accurate. I think Chris would probably back me up on that. I think that what he was saying is that he did not want lecturers to be able to vote on curriculum matters at the department level, but I'll just leave that point for clarification. I just thought it was a little bit inaccurate about what the conversation was last time.
So I'll ask Chris, do you want that modified or?
It could be more accurate. I do want them empowered to vote on curriculum issues in the curriculums in which they teach. I also would like to see them not voting on major curriculums in which they do not teach. So mostly what my concern was that there be a consistent policy across the university instead of, so it's a little bit complicated. Mostly what I'm asking for is that the university and the faculty handbook develop a policy about what lecturers do and don't vote on, because right now it's by department and it's hugely varied and it seems wildly inconsistent.
So would we be okay with modifying the minutes to say empowered to review curriculum, but then insert in which they teach, but not in other areas?
Sure.
So we'll change those minutes. Any other questions or comments? Then do I have a motion to accept the 3 sets of minutes with the 1 amendment to the July minutes?
I will. Jamie Harvey.
Charlene, there's a few comments about changes in the
Oh,
chat. I don't know
sorry.
if you saw that.
Thank you for bringing my attention. Sometimes I miss the chats. Yes. Okay, I will fix that error in the June one. That should be Spike, not Pike. And then that's me being a typo because I did those. And let's see. And then I will fix the attendance issue and get Dr. G as attended. Sorry about that, for July. Any other changes I missed? Okay, so back to Jamie is our first to move to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second Bernadette.
Okay. All right, so then we're gonna do our electronic vote. So if you open your participant panel, for those who are senators, right, this is a vote of only the senators, please click your participant panel, and then you'll see you have a yes and no option. So yes is yes, you approve the 3 sets of minutes as amended, no is you do not. And please, only senators.
Sorry, this is Eleni Panayotou.
Yeah,
I was also in attendance and I don't see my name. Sorry for the late response there.
okay, for 17. I'm counting, sorry. Okay, for the July meeting, Irina,
Yes,
Okay.
Eleni.
I will add you to the July meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so the motion passes. All right, on to our administrative reports. We'll start with the provost. The chancellor could not attend today. He is at a meeting of the SOCON presidents and chancellors, and it's at this exact same time. So we'll turn it over to Provost Hale.
And once again, Provost Hale has to remember to unmute his microphone. Sorry about that, gang. Chancellor Engel did ask me to send both his regrets and thanks to you. As President Simmons mentioned, he's on a meeting this afternoon with the SOCON presidents and chancellors. I spoke to him about 2 p.m. this afternoon, and he asked me to convey his thanks for your faculty senate service. I can't recreate his comments in their entirety, but he did say, and the one phrase that I can quote directly is, "We need really good people on the faculty senate," and he wanted to let me know that he appreciated your service. For those of you who have been on the Chancellor's webinar yesterday or in the meeting that Dr. Simmons and I held this morning, I apologize for the redundancy in the remarks that I'm about to make, but I wanted to give you an update on what some of the challenges have been as we have started the fall semester. And there have really been 4 challenges that I've been made aware of. There may have been others that have just not come to my attention. As I mentioned this morning, I don't think I mentioned yesterday afternoon, there was vandalism in one of our buildings, and immediately after the discovery of the vandalism, the facilities and custodial staffs cleaned and disinfected the spaces that were vandalized. It also then launched a review of security protocols for the affected spaces, so that we can make sure there's not a recurrence of what happened before the Monday class sessions. The second challenge that we have faced, I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, have heard now of the tragic and untimely death of Dr. Kyle Knight, one of our faculty colleagues in chemistry and physics. And so that occurred, and then there was also a decision by a couple of our adjunct faculty members that they would not like to teach for the fall. Those decisions came at the very last minute, and so both of those circumstances created some staffing challenges for us. I'm grateful to the faculties in the affected departments because they really stepped up to help us meet the staffing needs. And of course, I'm thinking of Dr. Knight and his family, and also our faculty colleagues in chemistry and physics for the loss of a longtime colleague. The third challenge that we faced was there were some technology issues in 2 of the Lupton classrooms because of work done by vendors. And I wanted to add that last part only so that you would know that this had nothing to do with the really outstanding work of our own IT team on campus. The really good thing to come out of that is the faculty response was really incredible. The faculty who were teaching in those 2 classrooms quickly pivoted their classes to online instruction for the week, and we're hoping that those classrooms will be in operation with all of the technology in them. And it was 2 of our teal classrooms at the beginning of the upcoming week. And then fourth and finally, there were some problems with classroom signage in 2 of our buildings, so that the number of strapped chairs and chairs available for seating didn't match the signage related to the classroom capacities. I'm really pleased to be able to tell you that the facilities team, along with risk management and in collaboration with Donnie Benneman and Matt Matthews from Academic Affairs, helped us get those problems taken care of very quickly. So the start of the semester from the standpoint of Academic Affairs was not without some glitches, but as they did in the spring, our faculty and staff from across multiple divisions have really stepped up to help us. The faculty and staff working with University Health Services have been outstanding. Dr. Don Ford's contact tracing team has done some incredible work as we have started this semester. The IT facilities and risk management teams have also worked awfully hard to prepare the campus for us to make it as safe as we could make it for the beginning of the term. And then finally, our faculty, whether teaching online, face-to-face, or in some hybrid mode, have gotten us off to a very smooth start. I'm happy to report, in case Vice Chancellor Freeman does not, that our enrollments are holding, thanks in large part to your efforts and those of other faculty colleagues. And so I just want to tell you thank you for all the incredible work that you've done to get us started for the fall semester. I'm happy to take any questions that you might have for me.
Any questions for Dr. Hale?
I'm just curious, are enrollments up from last year, down from last year? Where are we at in terms of that?
They are up slightly, and I'm sorry, I'm not going to have the exact numbers for you. I'll have the exact numbers from day 3 for graduate enrollments. They're up by about 29 students, and that they are up at all in the current climate and environment that we're in, I think is a real testament to the folks in the graduate school, as well as for those of you with graduate programs in your departments and the recruiting that you did in very, very difficult circumstances. For undergraduate enrollments, they are also up slightly. And so that was also, I won't speak for Vice Chancellor Freeman on this one, I'll speak for me. It was a very pleasant surprise to me. I was not sure that we would see an increase at all. I was hoping that we would remain fairly constant to where we were last year. And I guess that's probably what we did, but any increase in the current environment, I think, is also worth making note of.
Any other questions for Provost Hale? Okay, then thank you, Provost Hale. Are there any other administrative reports?
Yeah, Charlene, this is Dr. Brown. Let me kind of update you on the budget and year-end close. We are completing final entries for year-end close. We'll announce that we're projected to close again in really good shape in the black, as we are required to by state law, but it's going to be another good year-end close for the university. And we do pause to thank all of you for your good financial stewardship, certainly in times like these. As with the provost, enrollments are slightly up. I always look at not the head count, but the FTE number. That number is up, which means that the base budget we projected will hold. So hopefully that'll stay strong to the 14th day count, which means that our budget planning projections will hold. And so take a deep breath with me and make sure that we're there on the 14th day. But we are looking good. And we will be providing you with a fully kind of transparent review of the year-end close. 3 capital projects finished on time, and we're very pleased with that. The Lupton project, a classroom building project, is beautiful. If you get a chance to get by to see that. Facilities actually moved a third of the campus in the last 2 months, and I'm almost stunned by us being able to get that done, but we did. We thank the faculty for you allowing us to inconvenience you so much. But we packed you up and delivered you to a lot of new spaces. That included the Fine Arts Building, a beautiful space. Go take a look inside some of the theaters and the lobby. It's just really, really transformative work. And of course, the Rollins College of Business, that project is completing now on time and within budget. All of these projects were completed on time and within budget. We're starting the planning for the Hunter Hall renovation. We'll begin that as soon as possible for the education folks. And with regards to operations, we've been spending an awful lot of time, as the provost said, responding to issues around the campus, deep cleaning when needed. If there's a COVID incident, we have the capacity to go in and completely sanitize a building overnight. And we've been responding very, very well to those particular issues. We had a few little hiccups. We learned that there were no waste baskets in a lot of the classrooms. Go figure, with all of the sanitizing and towels, but we quickly got that taken care of and got those delivered inside the instructional area. So we would ask that if any of you have any issues, just contact Tom Ellis directly. If you have any issues with your facilities, we'll gladly respond to those. And we want to take time to really thank the faculty for some outstanding work. I think our enrollments are holding simply because of the fact that you've done a yeoman's work in terms of delivering instruction, both online and face-to-face. So we really are appreciative of that. it certainly helps the campus stay in a good financial position. So thank you. That's it, Charlene.
Vice Chancellor Brown, there's a question in the chat. How much did the university spend on preparing for the return to campus? Things like getting the ribbons for the seat, cleaning, supplies, etc., new technology. Do you have a rough number?
Let me get that for you, because the funding for that is coming from so many different sources. We had CARES Act funding, some funding from the state. We just received a new grant from the state of Tennessee, from the governor, really, for over $700,000 that we're using to offset some of these responses. But I'll get that for you. Providing PPE and face masks. I just approved another almost $57,000 to order more face masks. We never want to run out of PPE, making sure we have a 90-day supply for that. But I'll aggregate up all of those numbers, and it's a pretty good sized number. But the good news is that we had solid reserves going into this incident, and we've been very, very careful with budgeting. We've been kind of watching large expenditure items and pushing back on things and asking tough questions, saying, do you really need to buy that right now? So, and everyone's worked collaboratively, and I'm very, very pleased financially where we are right now.
Are there any other questions for Vice Chancellor Brown? Okay, thank you, Vice Chancellor Brown. Are there any other administrative reports? Okay, then we'll move on with our new business, because we have no committee reports today. The committees are just starting their work. We do have two housekeeping items that need to be done at the start of the year. I'm nominating Ron Goulet to serve as our vice president. He will also, in that role, chair the handbook committee. Do we have a second for the nomination? Susan Thule is seconding. All right, any discussion? Okay, then we'll need to take a vote. I just cleared out the voting. So if you can return to your participants and say yes for him, yes would be a yes for Ron Goulet to be our vice president, or no. Give you a moment for that. All right, it appears to have passed. I want to thank Ron Goulet for agreeing to be nominated. It is quite a task to chair the handbook committee, and I gave him quite a long list of things that they need to look at, and I'm sure they will find even more items. So thank you. Related to that, we do need to confirm the handbook committee. So the handbook committee can be made up of only senators. I want to thank all the senators that stepped forward when we put out our call. There are some restrictions on the committee. It has to have 6 members, and we have to have 1 from each college. And so the makeup we have right now, it was included on the agenda, but I'll run down it right now. We'll have Ron Goulet as the chair, Ignatius Famanage, and if I said your name wrong, I apologize. I'm terrible at pronouncing names, from Engineering and Computer Science, David, and I know I get this one wrong, Giles, Arts and Sciences, Barry Camerath from CHEPS, Wes Smith from the library, Chris Stewart from Arts and Sciences, because Arts and Sciences actually has 2 because of the size of the college. And then Stephanie Gillison from Rollins College of Business. And there is always a provost designee, which I assume will be Matt Matthews, unless he somehow got out of the responsibility. We need to confirm the handbook committee. Do I have I'm putting forward the nomination. Is there a second? I see Beth Crawford seconds. Is there any discussion? Okay, let me double, just a second. I have to recount before I do the vote. Okay, so I just cleared the last vote. So if we can do the vote for this. So vote yes or no for confirming the handbook committee. All right, so the confirmation passes. I want to thank all of them for stepping forward. It is a very important task this committee has, and so I want to thank them for their service. We look forward to potential changes to the bylaws and handbook. All right, under unfinished business, so in our last meeting, we looked at, in our called meeting in July, we looked at a proposed COVID absence statement. We chose at that time to do the vote electronically, and I just wanted to report that the electronic vote occurred between July 23rd and July 30th, and it passed. 31 people were in favor of it, no one was against it, and 6 people abstained from voting. So I just wanted to get that on the record, and of course we sent that out by email shortly after the vote. So now we're on to faculty concerns. I'll start with one that was submitted because we have an electronic form. And so we had one submitted earlier today. And it was for a request to have a more transparent COVID dashboard that contains more information about a variety of data points, including number of students in quarantine, on campus, etc. And I will forward this along during our weekly COVID crisis meeting, this request. Are there any other faculty concerns?
Hey, Charlene, this is Wes Smith from the library. I just wanted to make sure that was on record that we've had several concerns as well in regards to the COVID dashboard. We put a call out for concerns and got a healthy response for our faculty members. So I just wanted to put on record that a lot of members in the library want to see more transparency with the information.
Other faculty concerns?
I have a few things. So hi, everybody. I'm Ethan. I'm in philosophy and religion. I'm also with United Campus Workers, and we did a survey. So here's some results I posted in the chat if you want to look at those. The other thing I might point out, if I can get my, here we go, is that we also have an open letter that everyone is free to sign, excuse me. Sorry, I live near the hospital, lots of sirens. All right, so in addition to those things, I was going to say in my capacity as a faculty senator, one of the findings of our survey that we did is that there was a lot of support for a resolution to allow faculty more choice in terms of the modality in which they teach. So I just, I don't have a resolution right now, but I kind of want to throw that out there that if anyone's interested in perhaps crafting such a resolution, maybe we can work on that, and maybe something to think about for the next meeting to have an effect in the spring. I don't have details about it, so I can't answer questions about what this resolution would say exactly. That's something to be figured out. But if anyone's interested in that, or in United Campus Workers, either way, please do let me know. Thank you.
Other faculty concerns?
Charlene, I think this is more of maybe an announcement, but I'm not sure, having not sent it to you prior. It's not really a concern. I was just going to announce that as your role in Faculty Senate President, and I am an elected rep to the University Faculty Council. It's a system-wide faculty council, and it's all of the Faculty Senate Presidents plus one elected rep. Plus there's a representative that serves on the ERS committee of the board. And so we're really lucky this year. Chattanooga actually has 3 members because Charlene serves as president, I serve as the rep, and Christina Vogel is serving as the ERS rep. So we meet monthly with Randy Boyd and the folks in academic affairs in Knoxville and other people in all of this group. If you have concerns you want brought to the system level, please let them know. And then I think we've got a YouTube we're going to send out to you guys. From time to time, we'll get things that they want faculty input on from the system level. And so we'll be sending those out to you. I just wanted to add the context for that.
Thanks, Beth. And unfortunately, I had to leave the UCF meeting early yesterday because I had to teach a class. I don't know if you want to summarize any main points that came out of that.
The biggest thing was Randy Boyd thanking all of the faculty across the system for just everything that faculty have done to keep it all together. The fact that enrollment is at least level across the system with very minor reductions, and of course with UTC up, he was really excited about that. There weren't really any other big items yet. As with everybody, we're just kind of getting started.
Thank you. And it'll be helpful, Beth, if you keep us updated. I'll also try to keep updated. Hopefully I won't leave meetings early next time, but we'll try to keep the Faculty Senate informed of what the UCF is up to each month. Any other faculty concerns? We can't hear you for some reason, Tammy. You're not muted, but we can't hear you. Okay, I think Tammy had a concern. I can probably guess her concern because now she's frozen. She did want to express that she has a concern about the fact that some faculty have not been wearing their face masks, that they sometimes feel that if they're not around other people, if they come into a building early, that they may not be wearing their face masks. So we just wanted to remind that everyone, that the policy applies to everyone, faculty, staff, and students. And the policy, particularly the one that was signed by the chancellor last week and published on the website, makes it very clear we are to wear our masks at all times with just a very small handful of exceptions. One of those exceptions is if you're in your office with your door closed. So I'm in my office in Lupton, I have my door closed, no one else is here with me, so I've been able to take off my mask. But when I exit and go into the hallway, I should be wearing my mask. We're even supposed to be wearing them outside unless we can ensure that we will remain socially distanced. And the thing about being outside is if you're walking around, you can't really ensure that you're not going to turn a corner and bump into someone. So it's really best to wear it at all times unless you are in an area stationary and you can kind of assure you will stay away from other people. The other exceptions to the policy are students in their dorms. When they're in their dorm rooms, they can take their masks off. And then if you're eating in a dining hall. So if I missed one of the exceptions, someone like Matt Matthews, who knows the policy very well, can please correct me. But please, we need to set a good we need to be good role models. And so we need to wear our masks just as we're asking our students to. Did I cover everything you wanted to say, Tammy? Any other faculty concerns?
Charlene, this is Joni Jackson. I'm sorry. There was some chat about the parking fees in the chat line.
Thank you. Thanks. And thanks for bringing that to my attention. So parking, several faculty members have questioned the parking fee for faculty. As we all know, faculty were off campus between March to June due to the pandemic, but we paid full parking fees. Students received their refund per parking. What about faculty? I see Richard Brown is still on the call, so I'm gonna send this question directly to him.
Well, thank you, President Simmons. We reviewed that, and our determination short term was that the maintenance and all the other issues with parking remained. And so those funds were really required. So the short-term issue was that we were not going to do refunds to faculty and staff. And so that's kind of where that lands right now. If you want me to revisit it with the parking authority, I will.
I'll just also make a note. Faculty and staff are not required to buy a parking permit. I, for example, don't own a car. So, and I walk to campus or ride my bicycle. So I have not paid for a parking permit in 15 years. So if you are not coming to campus, you are not required to buy yourself a parking permit. So just note to self. Not to ruin your day, Richard Brown, but.
You're fine. And you're spot on about that.
Other questions or comments or concerns?
Hi, Charlene, this is Jacqueline. I put something in the chat as well. I want to thank you for holding the town halls earlier this month. Can you let us know, I mean, I assume that the faculty concerns were communicated to the leadership team. What happens next? How do we make sure that there's communication there? Thanks.
So we did present, the Faculty Senate Executive Committee provided the summary, which I distributed yesterday by email to the full faculty, but we gave it to Provost Hale and the Chancellor before we met with them last week. We went down some of the key points. One thing that we're still working on, and I'm not sure where it's going to go, but during one of the town halls, it was discussed that scheduling for the spring starts next week, and that maybe some changes need to be made to how we identify teaching modalities, because the 3 we currently have are very broad. You know, hybrid is an enormous category that really doesn't necessarily identify what the class is going to be doing. So we brought this up. Provost Hale pointed out that it's really under the jurisdiction of Vice Chancellor Freeman, because that's an enrollment issue. The Chancellor discussed maybe we need a working group. That's kind of where we've left it. We're kind of talking to Vice Chancellor Freeman and the Registrar. I talked to the Registrar a few days ago, but we haven't moved past all saying that's something we need to think about. So we'll definitely have to continue pressing that issue.
Charlene, this is Matt Matthews. I was just going to add CPI users, which CPI is the system we use for planning the schedule. We're notified, I'm not sure the exact timing, the last day or so, that we would be delaying the start to CPI. So I think the earlier date that had been announced might have been the 24th of August. I think that we're not opening it up on that day, and that is so conversations can continue about the kinds of things that you're talking about.
Glad to hear that. That'll give us a little more time to discuss those things. We'll continue to press the other. I mean, a lot of the things were more general concerns to be quite frank, the administration was already aware of through a series of the weekly questions and answers. So I wouldn't say there's any specific resolution to them. They're just issues that we'll continue to press. For example, definitely high on my agenda is continuing to make sure that we're documenting through EDOs and other review processes the additional work all of us are doing this year, so that it's accounted for as we go up through our various promotion, tenure, PTR processes. So we'll continue to push that effort. Any other concerns or questions?
Charlene, this is Julia Comiskey. I have a question. Has there been any further discussion of the satisfactory, not satisfactory option for students? Just in the first week, I have heard countless stories of students who have had significant outside issues going on, dealing with illness, family illness, losses. Just watching what's going on at some of the other universities, I think we can continue to anticipate disruption. And, we've discussed the possibility that faculty will become unable to teach. So I was just curious whether there's any update on that conversation, whether that will be an option for students, what that might look like.
I can bring that up at our next meeting with administration. I will say that we already have S and NC grades all the time. There's a deadline by which students have to identify that. I don't know the deadline off the top of my head. Matt Matthews might know it. So really the conversation would be, do we extend that deadline? But that's a good question and something I'll put on the radar.
Wait, are you saying change any course to SNC grading?
I mean, right now, Matt Matthews, isn't there a deadline by which a student has to adopt SNC grading? It's in the academic calendar, I think, but I gotta look it up.
I'm going to go with, that makes me uncomfortable to say that's true at the moment.
Okay.
President Simmons.
Yeah. Oh, there's
Hi.
Joe. I don't want to speak for the registrar. There he is. He can clearly.
Charlene, if you could ask Joel, Joel may know the answer to this question.
I happen to know. So unlike some institutions, UTC does not offer satisfactory no credit grading on a broad basis. It is typically limited to select courses that are approved through the curriculum process. So what we accomplished last semester was to extend the courses that qualify for satisfactory grading, and we ended up extending the deadline until the last day of classes, if I recall. So that was kind of a twofold departure from our normal processes. I will just note that under 1,000 students took advantage of that, and I would say not all of them helped themselves, unfortunately, by making that selection. So it was, I think, a valuable relief valve for some, but it was not as utilized as I expected it to.
Thanks for clarifying that for me so I don't get that wrong in the future. I mean, we can talk about it, continue to talk about it, and see what happens. But as the registrar did point out, it wasn't widely used. And I have actually bumped into students through advising who now regret having picked it. So, because they didn't realize that if you got a D and it turned into an NC, you didn't get credit for that class, whereas normally a D equals degree. So.
Thank you. That's helpful to clarify. I mean, I think it, and I don't always know whether I'm getting all of the same communications that students are, so forgive me if this has been communicated well to them and I just haven't seen it, but I think it might be useful to do some follow-up with them on what that looked like last semester, what it's useful for, but I'm anticipating a lot of anxiety from students on an order of magnitude higher than a normal semester, and I don't think it's unjustified given what they're describing to me as what's going on and the environment that we're all living in.
Other issues or concerns? Okay, then I have a few announcements and then I'll take announcements from others, but let me run down my list of announcements. We do still need a behavioral and social science representative. We're supposed to have 3, we only have 2. I have sent an email to that division, directed specifically to that division, calling for nominations. And so if you know someone in a behavioral and social science, you want to twist their arm to run for the seat, I would really appreciate it because it would be nice to have a full Senate. We are down just that 1 seat. Earlier this morning, I sent out an email. We do need to elect 2 people to FARC, the Faculty Administrative Relations Committee, and we need to do it relatively quickly because there are matters pending before FARC. So I've sent out an email to the full faculty calling for nominations. You have until next Friday, so a little over a week, to send me any nominations. If we get more than 2 nominations, we will have an election. That election will be online during the week of August 31st. Our full faculty meeting, I've set the date and I will be sending this out by email next week. I'm trying to space the emails out a little bit so they don't all get on top of each other. But if you want to mark your calendars, we'll be having our full faculty meeting on Tuesday, September 22nd at 3 p.m. It will be on Zoom. I'll send out an email next week and then reminders going forward. I do plan to continue to have faculty town halls. I haven't set the schedule yet. I just haven't had a time to sit down and kind of start planning that out. Some of the town halls will not have a subject. They'll be open for any discussion, but I also think some town halls will have a specific topic. So if there's a topic of a town hall that you would like to suggest, please just let me know and we'll try to get that scheduled in. I know that Stephanie Tutt, who's chair of the non-tenure track committee, is planning to do one for non-tenure track faculty. I suspect we'll end up having one to discuss Gen Ed, because Gen Ed is considering some changes to try to expand offerings in diversity, equity, inclusion. And so, you know, sometimes there might be a theme. And so if you have themes, please just let me know. I'm very open to ideas. You might have seen an email earlier today. The Faculty Grants Committee is extending the deadline for applying for a faculty grant to September 17th. Refer to that email for all the details. Or was it September 7th? I think I put a typo in my notes, but look to the email. They gave us a little extra time to apply for a faculty grant. And then I also wanted to say, so if you've been to the Faculty Senate website, it recently moved. So if you're unaware, the entire university is very slowly moving the back end of the website from OU Web to Drupal. And they're kind of going through and doing different chunks of the site. So Faculty Senate's website moved this summer. It's been a very interesting process. But I would say now we finally, at least I finally figured out how to update the website. Nominata had already figured it out. And so we finally can process and update our website. So we've been trying to quickly get some updates to it because we were limited on updates before that. The biggest change that happened when we moved from the OU Web platform to Drupal is that we've had to move the archives for the Faculty Senate. So previously you could go to the website and find minutes and agendas and materials related to meetings going back into the 80s on the website. Unfortunately, that couldn't continue under the new Drupal system because so many of those documents were Microsoft Word or PowerPoint, and we're not using those file formats on the new website. I am moving the archives. We are not losing the archives. They are being moved to SharePoint. So we had already set up a Faculty Senate SharePoint, and SharePoint's a great place to put all these kind of files. So there's now a link on the Faculty Senate website to the SharePoint, and everybody at UTC should have access to SharePoint and be able to read the materials. I'm having to move the things one by one, and I'm starting most recently and working my way back. So I'm in the 2010s right now, and I will try to get back into the 1980s as fast as I can, but it's going to take a little bit of time. So if you are just dying to read those minutes from the 1990s, you can send me an email and I will dig them out and send them directly to you, but I will continue to work to try to get the archives up and running so everyone can access them. Okay, so those, oh, and then one other thing, the non-tenure track committee is looking for adjunct members, and they sent out an email to adjuncts specifically asking for nominations. But if you know an adjunct who would be really great on the non-tenure track committee, I encourage you to twist their arm. I don't know if Stephanie wants to talk to this point right now, but we are looking for people to serve on the non-tenure track committee. Adjuncts, we already have our full-time non-tenure track faculty selected.
Yeah, we have a lot of volunteers from CHEPS right now, but none from any of the other colleges, and we need one from each college. So if you know anyone that would be interested, please encourage them to serve. Thanks, Charlene.
Okay, so that's all my announcements. Any other announcements? Tammy, we can't hear you again. I see you talking, but we can't hear you again.
It's not working. Okay, I'll top it. Never mind.
We can hear you now, Tammy. We can hear you
now. Yay! I've been having problems today with my computer for some reason. We now have volunteers for all the adjunct positions for the tenure track committee, except for computer science and engineering. So we desperately need volunteers for that college. So harass, harass, harass.
Thanks, Tammy, yay.
Thank you.
Any other announcements? Then do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? I see Beth as our first. A second, I'll go with Joni because I see her hand up. All right, then we are adjourned for today, and I look forward to seeing you all next month.
Thanks, Charlene.